Another story on Premium Times says why I keep contesting for president. This is the People's Democratic Party's candidate Atiku Abubakar. He has contested for this seat, for the presidential seats in the country about 5 times, and will be on ballot again this year. So he's telling us why he kept contesting. So that story is also on Premium Times. Another story here says APC, Buhari strongly united behind Tinubu. This is according to campaign spokesperson Bayo Ononuga, who is the director, media publicity of the APC Presidential Campaign Committee, said all attempts by opposition elements to put a wedge between Messrs. Buhari and Tinubu would fail. So these and many more interesting stories you can also find on premiumtimesng.com. So that's some of the stories we have, Chiamaka.
Thank you very much, Kasim. And we'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll delve fully into our report of the day. Stay tuned.
This is Premium Times Half Hour on Citizen FM 93.7 every Thursday at 11 a.m. This is Premium Times Half Hour on Citizen FM 93.7 every Thursday at 11 a.m.
Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, this is Premium Times Half Hour on Citizen FM, brought to you by Premium Times. And we are discussing PVC Drive. Today is Premium Times PVC Drive, PVC collection around the country. And we are also drawing insight from a recent Premium Times special report, which documented the harrowing experiences of voters across the country trying to claim their cards. From inadequate personnel, low turnout of collectors, long queues, allegations of extortion from people by some of the officials of INEC, among other challenges. Recall that the deadline for PVC collection is 5th February. In a few days, today's 2nd already, so you're 3 days away from your deadline. So if you don't get it in the next 3 days, you won't get it anymore. And INEC has been very gracious to we Nigerians and extended the deadline from January 31st to February 5th, which is on Sunday. Sunday is your deadline. You have no excuse. You have a long time. Today is Thursday and Sunday is 3 days from now, so you can get your PVC. Make sure your PVC is not amongst those PVCs lying around different INEC offices. Do not forget, you can call in to join right away. Start calling us to share your PVC collection experience or stories with us. The numbers to call are 090-3222-9797, 090-3222-9797. The other number to call is 081-8222-2205, 081-8222-2205. And you can also call 080-8222-2037, 080-8222-2037. We have Paul in the studio. Like I said earlier, Paul is the elections manager at Yaga Africa, election program manager at Yaga Africa. Right, Paul? Am I correct? So thank you again. And because Yaga works a lot around elections, and that's like your forte, that's what your portfolio says, so you have to answer all the questions around what we can do better with elections and the collection of PVC. So thank you very much, Paul, for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
So yes, thank you, Mr. Paul, once again for joining us. So Premium Times did...
sorry, Kwasim. Well, go on. We had a caller earlier, but he dropped.
Okay, so yeah, a group of reporters in Premium Times, monitored the process recently, and we published a special report that actually showed, some problems like, inadequate personnel in some centers where people, go to collect their PVCs, and sometimes there are even low, people turning up to collect their PVCs, and usually there are long queues that people will complain about.
Sorry,
and
let me take this call quickly. Apologies. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Mr.
Yeah. Have you collected your PVC? Sorry?
I registered last year.
Yeah.
Around July.
Can you turn down your radio set?
I registered last year.
Yes, sir.
around July.
Yeah.
So when they said we should go and collect our fees, I now received a text that I should go to Central Primary School in Abuja. I went there, they did not give it to me. After the text, they took the BBC card back to the government property. I went there and met the man in charge. He said I should come in 2 weeks' time. In 2 weeks' time, I went back. He said it's not ready, I should me. Just this week, around Monday, I called him. He said it's not ready, I should come before Friday or today or tomorrow. So what do I do?
Thank you very much for that question. I'm just listening for what our advice would be, and that will be from Yaga telling us what we can do in such cases. Thank you very much for calling. And do not forget the numbers to call are 09032 22 9797 09032 22 9797. You can also call 081 82 22 2205 081 82 22 2205. You can also call 080 82 22 2037. So Paul, this is a direct question to you, and it's interesting to see that a lot of people have these experiences. So this is Cyril, who has registered since July last year. His card is supposed to be ready from what INEC has told us. So what can he do?
Well, I think the first place to start is this is showing a lot of laxity on the part of INEC. Somebody that had registered since July last year, there should have been a clear part about how the person should engage the process and how the person should collect their PVC. I said laxity on the part of INEC because I think documentation is a big problem here. By this time 4 years ago, if you recall, we were getting daily briefing or daily updates of the number of PVCs collected and all of that, meaning that INEC have a proper record of what it was doing at that point in time. But here we are in 2023. But the fundamental question to ask is, between 2021 and last year that INEC did the registration, INEC said they had registered 9 million Nigerians after the deletion that happened. Of these 9 million Nigerians, how many of these PVCs have been produced till date? Those are the records that we don't have in the public space. And then how many have been dispatched to the states? Now, it's beyond also just dispatching them to the states. When they arrive at the state, you expect us that these are cataloged into maybe by the words and in alphabetical order by the voters that are expected to come up to pick up the cards. Then that would give a clear sense of how many of these are in INEC's possession and how many of these need to be produced. To the question that the caller had asked, what INEC will always tell them is to go back to the INEC local government office and raise a complaint and see what INEC can do between now and the election. I'm just concerned and worried that looking at the time in between now and the presidential election, that there may not be guarantees that this card will be ready for pickup before the election.
Which is equivalent to disenfranchising people, really. Kosim, please shoot your question.
All right, thank you. So, this is a question, and this is part of the problem. But I know, Young Africa is one of the leading, civil society organization working in the civic space. I would want to believe that you have actually conducted some on-the-ground assessments, and you have information on how this process and the challenges faced by people beyond what Premium Times have done in this report. Can you tell us what the kind of findings that you have so that we can start looking at it from there?
So I think the first thing we did was to even go back to the data from 2019. INEC said they had registered 84 million, if you recall, and then they had distributed 72 million cards before the elections in 2019, meaning there were about 14 million cards that were uncollected. So you see, even go back to those records and see that, how many of those does INEC even have the database for the voters? Because we thought that could have been a simple process of maybe partnering with the telecommunications company, which we thought they could take it up as their social corporate responsibility of maybe providing a free service to INEC to send text blasts to these voters, because at the point of registration, people provided their contact details. Some provided phone numbers, some provided forwarding address, for instance. So we thought that could be a basis that INEC could use to reach out to these voters. So an organization, what we did at some point was to partner with INEC FCT to even start harmonizing or harvesting this data. INEC FCT was able to come up with a database of voters for the FCT, and they started sending text blasts to them. And what INEC did also was to come up with what is called a standard operating procedure that will guide the operations across all the 36 states. It was adopted by the commission, and then I think I was told that was also dispatched to the states to guide the operation. So back to what I am saying, the fundamental problem that we thought had happened was that there was no documentation of the cards that were yet to be collected before the recent election that happened. Of the recent election that happened, INEC did make attempt to create that database that people can even go online to check whether they are, to check the status of their card or where to pick up their card from. That was a good step in the right direction, but then going to the field, we realized that the problem persists because we also deploy people to the field to support INEC in that exercise. You go to some locations, places are overcrowded. You go to some location, you only see a few officials. And most worrying is that you go to most of these locations, you see that officials are arriving very late and are taking this and the laxity they are assigned to this, the carefree attitude you see also from some of the officials, but also to the point I made earlier about sometimes because these cards are not properly sorted in the way and manner that can help or assist for easy retrieval, then it becomes a huge burden for the INEC officials there, and especially in managing the crowd that come around to collect their cards. So I mean, INEC isn't doing anybody a favor by extending this, because INEC, like I said, is partly the problem. If we have a proper record of the cards that have been produced, an honest assessment of the exercise and telling Nigerians, so your card is not produced, but you can come around at so period, or given a timeline of what they think realistically they can produce the card, perhaps it could have helped with some of these these grievances that we are seeing in the field. There are a lot of cards that have not been produced. Let's not also forget there were also some challenges that happened within the space of when the CVR happened. There was a flooding that happened. Most communities were affected. And you can also, I mean, we can't rule out the fact that some persons also may have misplaced their cards from the flooding. The ideal thing to do was to return to INEC so INEC can reproduce cards for them. INEC facilities were attacked. Between 2019 till date, more than 55 of INEC facilities have been attacked. Some of these facilities are places housing people's PVCs. Have these PVCs been produced, for instance, if they are even yet to be collected? If you visit some INEC offices, you realize or you see PVCs lying fallow. That's why I'm saying, and on these PVCs, you see people's card. I mean, as much as I know the process is collection, not distribution, people are supposed to approach INEC. Where in all of this together, with INEC and every stakeholder, I strongly believe if the addresses are provided and we're able to sort these things by the different addresses, reaching people through the community heads, village heads, for instance, to say, hey, we have this number of PVCs, come and pick them up. I don't think it will have been a big problem. And also, coming up with a list of uncollected PVCs, we have this on our record. Have a notice board that is the public information that will be out in the public for everybody to come see. I don't think it will be a big challenge. But then the biggest problem you also keep seeing within INEC is the problem of communication. Communication is not streamlined. What is happening here could be different from what applies in another place. So that's always is the challenge. Like, you don't have a control over what human elements in INEC will do in some places. That is why you're hearing about issues of people asking for bribe before they do their legitimate function, or people coming late for this activity. INEC have extended the time for the PVC from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. from what it used to be in the past. INEC is even working on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays.
Sorry, hold on. I'd like to take a call here. Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Good morning.
I'm hearing you. This is Victor calling from Ibu.
Good morning, Victor from Idu. Please go ahead.
Please, what about the person that registered in 2019 and is with his TVC? Is he going to register again?
Just hold on and listen to what Paul has to say. Go on, Paul.
No, he doesn't have to register again. It is valid. The registration from 2011 is valid. I registered in 2011 and I still have my card.
So no problem. That is what I want to confirm. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling. So there you go. People. So communication, you said, is one thing that looks like it's missing in the equation, and I hear you clearly, and I like that you've also, indicted everyone, both INEC and citizens rather, for our own problems. So it's called collection, but people won't move to the various centers to get their PVC. We've gone past the age of... So I have another call here. Good morning. Can you hear me? Good morning. We lost that caller. Another call here. Good morning. Yeah, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, my name is Mike. I'm calling from Nassau.
Hi, Michael. Do you have a PVC?
Yes, I have mine, but I also have someone who has been trying to collect almost the 4,000 meters now, but I wasn't able to collect it. Come today, come tomorrow. I don't get it. Like now, the president suspended his work, decided to go there. And also got another disappointment that the card is not there.
What's the name of the center?
Yeah, what is it?
Where is the person's center? Where are they going to collect the cards from?
In Karu.
In Karu. Okay.
Yes, but I don't know exactly the particular location, but in Karu. And I know many people are going the same way. It's not because at the end of the day, you discover that the card that will be left over is not because that people doesn't want to come and collect it, but because of this come today, come tomorrow, and when you come, you can't get a positive response. When to go there. And for me, the person didn't telling me on Sunday, and you are saying on Sunday is going to be the last day of the collection of it. You can imagine the health number if you go that day and he did not see the card. What will happen? It means that he's not going to vote now because without the card, he can't vote. And again, maybe we can be able to progress as we continue to progress in this election, maybe after this 2023. But I also want to believe that we can actually get it right by making sure that anywhere you find yourself, you understand, you'll be able to use your voter card and cast your ballot there. For instance, now, this is the first crisis that are going on. Do you know that some people who find it very difficult for them to travel from their polling center to go and vote, and they needed to do that? So I think the INEC should be able to listen to the people because it's all about us. Let us reach to that point that anywhere we find ourselves, you can be able to make use of your voter card and then cast your ballot there.
Sorry, we lost him there, but the point he's making is, so come today, come tomorrow, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
That's an issue too. And then he segued into another important issue we're having. There are queues everywhere in the country. Queues for new Naira notes, queues for fuel, queues for PVC, and who knows, there might be a new queue tomorrow for something else. And he's asking what to do with the come today, come tomorrow, and how would the fuel scarcity affect people transporting themselves from their various houses to their polling units.
Sadly, the come today, come tomorrow will be a big discouragement in this election. And that's why I said the problem is from documenting what INEC has already. And it's just simple logic. Every PVC has a voter's address, has a contact address for the voter on the PVC, which they can use to engage the voter, which they can use to reach out to the voter. I had also made a suggestion earlier, as simple as also typing out the names of the cards that are ready, on the cards that are ready, and pasting them on INEX wall. Everybody know the time that we are in. Whatever strategy that they can adopt to get people to pick up their PVCs, INEX officials to do that. There are cards in INEX offices that are not documented. They are just lying there, and people have not been contacted. People will be coming. Some officials are lazing around and may not even take this, want to go through the stress of going through the pile of cards they have there to help people. He asked a question that has to do with voting from anywhere.
Yeah.
Sadly, the election ecosystem is different from what we have. Voting has to happen at a defined location where somebody registered. I mean, even in advanced democracies, if you think about the election that happened in US, there was mail-in ballots that were sent. People sent the ballots to where they had registered. There's always a documentation for that. And then people are talking also electronic voting and all of that. All over, there is nowhere that is 100% electronic voting. There will still have to be a paper trail of that. So that documentation process is why INEC will insist that we have to come back to a defined location to engage the process.
Thank you very much, Paul James, for joining us this morning. We've run out of time. We've run out of time, actually. It's a 30 minutes program, and I wish we had more time to, entertain more questions and provide clarity. But, the point is there are challenges everywhere, and both INEC and citizens need to work together as stakeholders in this process to make sure that, we have a successful polls come February 25th. Before we wrap up for today's session, I'll quickly hand over to Kosim to do a quick recap of the stories we've published this week. Kosim.
All right. Thank you. So looking again at those stories published by Premium Times, first one is, despite deadline extension, crowds besiege banks amid scarcity of new notes. So the scarcity of these new notes has put a lot of Nigeria in a dilemma and so much stress. So another story here says, presidential election as a kicker, Buhari not favoring anybody. Lai Mohammed replies El Rufai over Tinubu's candidacy. Recall that El Rufai had claimed that some persons in the presidency are against Tinubu's candidacy. Another story here says, why I keep contesting for president. This is the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, who has contested for about 5 times and is still on the ballots this year. APC, Buhari strongly united behind Tinubu. This is according to a campaign spokesperson of the APC, that's Bayo Ononuga, who said all attempts by opposition elements to put a wedge between Messrs. Buhari and Tinubu would fail. So many more stories are on premiumtimesng.com.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Wasim. This is where we round off for today's episode, and I'm sure you had a fantastic time with us. Unfortunately, we can't keep up the tempo or keep you on here as well to continue the conversation, advising us on how to go about our PVC collection. Make sure you keep a date with us here on Premium Times half hour every Thursday at 11:05 a.m. on Citizen FM 93.7. Again, this is brought to you by Premium Times, a leading multimedia news platform which brings you every minute stories that can help you make informed decisions and hold public officials, organizations, and persons accountable. We have cartoons, videos, podcasts, and other interesting content for your delight. For timely update on politics, entertainment, sports, and business, visit our website on www.premiumtimesng.com and follow us on all our social media platforms. We will be here again next week, same time, same station. From Kosim, James, and I, have a great weekend.
This is Premium Times Half Hour on Citizen FM 93.7 every Thursday at 11 a.m.